Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So we're reading today from the 11th canto. You have it on this. Oh, well, it's coming. 11:1, 10. Is it 11 and 12 or 10 and 11? 11 and 12, right? One second. Get my better glasses. And can we get rid of this thing here? Karmani punyani vahani sumangalani Gayaj jagat kalimala paharani kriya kritva Kalatmanani vasata yadudeva gehe Pindarakam samagamam munayo nishishta Vishvamitro sitakanvo Durvasa brigurangira Kashyapo vamadevo tri Vasishto naradhadayo. Others can chant. Karmani punyani vahani sumangalani Ayat jagat kalimala paharani krita Kalatmana nivasata yadudeva gehe Pindarakam samagamam munayo nishishta Karmani punyani vahani sumangalani Ayat jagat kalimala paharani kritva Kalatmana nivasata yadudeva gehe Darakam samagamam manunago nishishta Vishwamitro sitakanvo Durvasa brigurangira Kashyapo vamadevo trir Vishishto naradadaya. Ladies, Can you see it? Karmani punya nivahani sumangalani yayat jagat kalimala paharani kritva kalatmana nivasata yadudeva gehe Pindarakam samagamam manuyo nishishta Vishvamitro sitakanvo Vivasa Brigarangira Kashyapo Vamadevo Tri Vashisho Naradaya Karmani, fruitive rituals, punya, piety, nivahani, which bestow, sumangalani, most auspicious, gayat, chanting about which, jagat, for the whole world, kali, of the current degraded age, mala, the impurities, apaharani, which take away, kritva, having performed, kala atmana, by him who is the very personification of time, nivasata, residing, yadudeva, of the Lord of the Yadus, King Vasudeva. Gehe, in the home, Pindarakam, to the pilgrimage site known as Pindaraka. Samagamam, they went, Munayaha, the sages, Nishishtaha, being let out, Vishvamitraha, Asita Kanvaha, the sages Vishamitra, Asita and Kanva. Durvasa, Brigu Angiraha, Durvasa, Brigu and Angira. Kashyapa, Vamadeva, Tri. Kashyapa, Vamadeva, and Atri. Vashishta, Narada, Adaya. Vashishta, Narada, and others. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The sages Vishvamitra, Asita, Kanva, Durvasa, Brigu, Angira, Kashyapa, Vamadeva, Atri, and Vashishta, along with Narada and others, once performed fruitive rituals that award abundant pious results, bring great happiness, and take away the sins of Kali Yuga for the whole world by merely being recounted. The sages duly executed these rituals in the home of the chief of the Yadus, Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. After Lord Krishna, who was staying in Vasudeva's house as time personified, respectfully sent the sages off, at the conclusion of the ceremonies, they went to the holy place called Pindaraka. Purport. In this verse, Shukadeva Goswami begins to narrate the story of the Brahminical curse that arose against the Yadu dynasty by the Lord's desire. According to Sridhar Swami, certain religious rituals, such as the Asvamedha Yajna, generate pious reactions. On the other hand, Activities such as caring for one's children give immediate pleasure in the present only, whereas rituals performed as atonement take away sinful reactions. But the religious activities mentioned in verse 11, which are indicated by the words karmani punya nibahani sumangalani gayaj jagat kali malapaharani, were pious in all respects. They produced abundant pious results and great joy, and were so potent that merely glorifying these rituals relieves one from all the sinful reactions of Kali Yuga. All right. So right now, all of us together, we are going to glorify this occasion by saying 3 times very loudly, Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Now we've glorified this narration of these rituals. And what has happened? We're relieved from all the sinful reactions of Kali Yuga. Of course, there's more to getting relief from the reactions of Kali Yuga, which we'll talk about. The sages called to Vasudeva's house to perform such auspicious religious activities were satisfied with proper gifts and then sent by Krishna to Pindaraka, a nearby holy place situated about 2 miles from the Arabian Sea on the coast of Gujarat. Its current name is still Pindaraka. Significantly, Lord Krishna is mentioned here as Kalatmana, the form of time, or the super soul. In the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals himself to Arjuna as time personified, appearing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to destroy all the kings and armies who constitute a burden to the earth. How does it go? Time I am, Kalosmi, the destroyer of the worlds. Similarly, Kalatma Nivasata Yadudeva Gehe. Krishna, Jai Jai SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple, Sitaram Lakshmananama. Krishna was staying in the home of his father Vasudeva as time personified, thus indicating that the time was approaching for the destruction of his own dynasty according to his desire. Oma Ginatim Randasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Garoti Bhajalam Bangalai Gandhi Radkipatamaham Vande Shina Shri Chaitanya Ishvara. Hare Krishna. So with the permission of all the assembled devotees, I'll try to speak something to elaborate on this verse. And please, if anyone has any additional elaboration, you can be thinking about it, and we'll have time for that too. Although we have to end, I think, at, 8:45 or 8:30? Which? 8:30. Okay. So we just have 20 minutes. 8:30, correct? Yeah. So I was looking at this verse. I said, what came out to me that there are 2 primary topics in the verse and in the purport. One is sacrifice, and the other is time. So, the topic of sacrifice is very interesting for us. We hear in the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, we hear how Krishna says that he has sent forth generations of Devatas and humans along with sacrifice. He says that through this system of sacrifice, all good things will be bestowed and everyone can live happily. In other words, we've all come to this material world with the desire to enjoy independently of Krishna. And Krishna says, all right, here it is. Here's your formula. Here's how you can do it. I'll create this world for you, and I will give you a system. If you follow this system, you will actually enjoy this world. Now, this system is not the system that you may think, that you're going to get whatever you want by your personal endeavor, that you can work and make something and enjoy something by your own strength. He's telling all of us that you do not have the strength. You're not capable of enjoying this world on your own. But if you sacrifice to me, then by my grace, the rains will come, the grains will grow. That same grain you offer also in sacrifice. And in this way you will flourish. You will enjoy. There are many, many such sacrifices. There's sacrifices in the life of the grihasta. There are different sanskaras. There's different daily sacrifices to be made. There is a system. If anyone says that, well, and it is, of course, Krishna does say that this world is dukkhalayam, a world of misery, but it could be, it's possible, according to Krishna, to live very happily in this world. But to do that, one must sacrifice. And sacrifice is just not exactly what we want to do. We want people to sacrifice for us. We're not so inclined to give anything up. I'm reminded how in the sacrifices that we hear in Mayapur, there are some Brahmins who are trying to keep alive this system of sacrifice. And as they're offering oblations into the sacred fire, they'll say something like, Idam Vishnave na mama. Idam Vishnave na mama. This is for you, Vishnu. Idam Vishnave. This is for you, na mama. Not for me. That's repeated again and again and again. So in sacrifice, that spirit, na mama, this is for you, is the foundation which enables those sacrificial activities to bring forth the mercy of the Lord. And thus we can enjoy the fruits of sacrifice. This verse describes how wonderful the fruits of the sacrifice performed by these different sages was. How did it go? Here, let me I don't have much time, but the performance of sacrifice, as described in the Vedas, the performance of sacrifice, even that is being recounted here in this verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in our age is very difficult. To begin with, where are the Brahmins who know all the intricacies? Because for these sacrifices to be performed successfully, there are many, many rules. It's not so easy. It requires proper pronunciation of the mantras. It requires Brahmins who are qualified by their austerity to perform the sacrifices. It requires ingredients, sometimes very large quantity of ingredients. We can imagine the extent of this particular sacrifice, how much must have been involved when so many great sages were engaged. So today in our age, this sacrificial system is not practical or possible in order to bring us forward. Therefore, what do we have? What is the jagya? What is the sacrifice of this age? Sankirtan jagya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Jagyai Sankirtana Prayar. Yajantihi Sumedashaha. Those who are intelligent. I can see so many intelligent men and women here. You're intelligent. I can know you're intelligent because you are here. And you're engaged in this sacrifice of the Sankirtan Yagya. By the performance of this sacrifice, all the ill effects of our current age, the Kali Yuga, can be mitigated. And we can achieve the real great actual goal of sacrifice, which is not ultimately to enjoy this world. Krishna creates this system of sacrifice with you could say the offering, the incentive. Do all these sacrifices and you will have abundance. And so in our conditioned Bhoga consciousness, we think, oh, good deal. I'll do this. But woven within the whole process of sacrifice is the constant hearing of what? The holy name of Krishna. In every mantra, in every offering, we hear again and again the names of Krishna in various names, Vishnu, Narayan, and so on. And we enter into a spirit, idam Vishnave namama, of sacrificing not just the ingredients, but sacrificing our own efforts. We begin to enter into the spirit of devotion. And by beginning the path of devotion on the path of sacrifice, even if it is within the context of material desire, one progresses, one advances, and ultimately comes to the path of surrender. The path of surrender, in which one's own very self is sacrificed for the pleasure of Krishna. Not sacrificed in any sense of destruction. In fact, one of the curious and difficult to understand elements of the Vedic sacrificial system was the sacrifice of animals. Animals were involved in the Vedic sacrifices. But it was understood, it was understood that these animals that would enter in or would be sacrificed they made immediate advancement as jivas. Now, to understand this requires a different mentality that we don't have, and a different frame of reference. I was once thinking about this and we're going to have to end soon for questions and comments. But when Pandu left this world, then Madri and Kunti, his two wives, were faced with a dilemma. They wanted to go with him. They wanted to go with him. And they knew, they had practical experience. Today, we have no practical experience of the worlds beyond ours. We don't see Devatas coming and participating in our activities. We don't perceive that world. And thus, we may not have much faith that it even exists. But Madri and Kunti knew of that world. Kunti especially, she had association with different devatas. So they knew that this was not a fire and I'm just going to enter this fire and then that's it. And they knew that this was a gateway, this was a pathway, this was a portal. Yes, it would involve some initial pain to enter that fire, but I would go up. So similarly, the animals involved in the sacrifices of the Vedas, they got new life. They got a new life. But today, this has become completely perverted. And the sacrifice of animals is going on only for the purpose, perhaps there's some religious sentiments involved, I may get some benefit, but often it's simply for the excuse of getting the meat to eat. And thinking covering it up with some piety. So all of this is now forbidden. Especially the Ashvamedha Yajna, the big sacrifice, involves so many rituals. It's all forbidden in our age because we can't do it properly. And we'll do it in a way that will actually condemn us. And in its place we have the most perfect Yajna, the Sankirtan Yajna, of chanting the holy names of Krishna together and individually, and thus we can counter every effect of the Kali Yuga and achieve real success. So I wanted to speak a little bit about the other element of this class, or this, which is time. The verse describes Krishna as time, but that would take more than quite a bit of time. Time is so so deep of a topic. I remember as I first became somewhat, curious, or I should say attracted to some philosophy and spirituality. I read a book by some, you might know, Judy, of Gurdjieff. Did you remember Gurdjieff's books? Anyway, this is in the 60s. So he was this kind of, anyhow, whatever. But he was describing how time is the fourth dimension. And this is a fact, well, this is easy to understand, actually. Any physicists here? Studied physics? So in physics, we understand this is time is the fourth dimension, space-time. This is the basis for modern physics. Einstein went into this. So much of the current of what we try to understand about our world is based on an understanding of time as the fourth dimension, which is easy to understand. When we under the system of dimensions, we know about 3 spatial dimensions, and if you look at how these dimensions work, if you take the single dimension or a point, and you move that, it becomes the 0 dimension, a point. You move it, it becomes the first dimension, which is a line. You take a line and you move it into the second dimension, and you get a plane. And you take a plane and you move it into the third dimension, and you get a solid object. And you take that 3-dimensional object and you move it into time, the 4th dimension. So the movement of objects in time characterize all of the elements, dimensional components to describe anything. You can describe something by its height, width, length, its 3-dimensional components, and its time component. Where is it? When is it? So this is time, the 4th dimension. But Krishna says, I am time. I am time. In other words, it is Krishna through which everything that moves the world. Without time, there's no motion. Everything is static. But Krishna takes this static energy and by his will, it moves. And we move with it. So let's use our time, the time that he's given us, to engage in sacrifice. And especially this sacrifice, the Sankirtan Yajna. We have 5 more minutes before our time is up. So I'd like to ask for reflections, questions, comments. Judy, microphone.
That was very good about sacrifice and explaining about the Sankirtan Yajna for this age. And I see that's why Prabhupada, when I was in Mayapur in 72, as soon as he got there, he brought all of his godbrothers.
Keep it closer, yeah.
He brought all of his godbrothers to lay the cornerstone for the temple of Vedic planetarium, to try to bring people to Mayapur to see how Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga avatar, showing us how to do the Sankirtan Yajna for this age, because many people are still trying to do these kinds of sacrifices from Treta Yuga and Dwarpa Yuga. And for this age, Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga avatar, so he wanted to present that through books and our own temples, and particularly building of Temple of Vedic Planetarium.
I just want one more comment I just wanted to insert here. In the verse, it describes that this sacrifice produced abundant pious results and great joy. So another aspect that we should all be very, very cognizant of is that our Sankirtan Yajna, not only does it bring joy and to those who participate, who directly hear, but this Yajna emanates into our world. This Yajna is not restricted to just where we do it, but the effects of our Yajna get distributed more and more throughout the world to make the world more and more pious. And as our world becomes more pious, then pious jivas enter into our world. They make the world more pious, and in this way, the golden age of Gauranga will come. Yes, Prabhu.
One question comes to mind, Prabhuji, that the destruction of the Yadus, as this chapter says, it happened in Dwapar. Then why is it mentioned that this pious activities or the sacrifices are for Kali Yuga? It appears as if they are in Kali Yuga, but they are not.
The verse actually says that by recounting these sacrifices. So, in other words, we, through Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is what has been given to us in Kali Yuga in order to counter the effects of Kali. And the Bhagavatam recounts these activities. So, the actual statement here is that by hearing about these, so in other words, the sacrifice may have taken place in Dwapara Yuga, but take away the sins of Kali Yuga for the whole world by merely being recounted. So it's the recounting or the hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam about these sacrifices that takes away the sins of Kali Yuga. That's my understanding.
So that means they're doing this in advance for Kali Yuga.
Yes. Not only this sacrifice, but all the activities of Krishna that are recounted in the Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we can counteract Kali Yuga. Any other weird? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is there any loka called Mahakal Loka and then Mahakal Purusha? Who is Mahakal Purusha? Kal Purush. Who is there somebody like Kal Purush? Because in everything.
Kala Purusha.
Yeah.
Kala Purusha.
Is there any loka like Mahakal Loka? Something like that.
Mahakal Loka. Where the Kala Purusha resides. I've never heard that described. I mean, the whole concept of personification is very deep. How is a river a person? How are the Vedas personified? How does something abstract, or you could say apparently inanimate, become personified? That's for some other scholar to
just
to
like
answer.
Lord Brahma saw Kala Swabhava Samskara. He saw all this Kala Swabhava Samskara, Kama Karma, Gunadibihi. So all this Lord Brahma saw personified worshipping Lord Vishnu, during Brahma Mahalila.
Yes. How that works, I have no idea. I mean, frankly speaking, how any of that higher realm works is totally beyond me. I'm so, my thought process is very limited to my own experience. I experience myself. I mean, I believe I'm a person. I believe you're a person too. And at one point I didn't think that. I thought I was the only person. and everyone else was a projection of my own mind, then I came to my senses and said, no, you're not the only person that exists. That would be, anyway. No, I'm confident that you exist as well as I exist. But my experience of existence is so limited. And if I try to even imagine personalities like Indra or Varuna that control our material world, how that works is just totally beyond me. So similarly, how something abstract like Vedas or time, or of course Krishna, he is everything. So that's easy because Krishna is everything. So everything is Krishna. So that's somewhat easy. To think in terms of jivas or personifications, because we know that the personified Vedas they pray to Krishna. They're the Vedas personified. And they pray to Krishna, and not only that, they get to dance with him in rasa dance. So this is totally beyond my capacity. If you have an answer, please tell us.
No, I'm just wondering, because Krishna said, time I am.
Yes, Krishna says
so,
that.
So Kala only agitates this Mahatattva and everything comes.
Yeah.
It is given in third canto. That means he must be a person.
Yeah, yes. But Krishna says, I am the taste of water. Krishna says, I am many things. I am the middle, the beginning, and the end. So,
just like personified Astasiddhis, they are serving Mahavishnu.
Yes.
That means everything is a person.
Yeah. So time, the personality of time as a person that you can see, that's totally beyond me. I don't know. I just go back to Krishna saying, I am time. And meaning time is my energy, time is, and I'm in, of course, the even more difficult to understand perhaps is what's the spirit, what is time in the spiritual world? But how can anything happen? There's day and night in the spiritual world. No? How can the gopis enjoy the moonlit night if there's no night? How can anything happen without time? Without time there's no motion. Nothing moves without time. I always understand it that the destructive effect of time is not present in the spiritual world. In our world, time is the destroyer. Time is, there's a physical principle of I've lost it. But it's, you must know. What is it?
It is called entropy.
Entropy. Yes.
Entropy.
Entropy. The principle of entropy means that everything must fall apart without some force to keep it together. But that's not the case in the spiritual world. And time can move in any direction in the spiritual world. Krishna, I've heard, and I've apologized for going over time, because we hear about how Krishna, in order to enjoy the rasa of Purvarag, Purvarag is the rasa of love in anticipation, before meeting. So Krishna just moves time around so that he hasn't yet met Radha, and he's anticipating that meeting. So Krishna's time uses time in the spiritual world. Time serves Krishna for his Leela. Whereas in our world, time serves Krishna to destroy our Leela, to remind us this is not going to work. Surrender. Get out. All right. Time is really now up. Thank you very, very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.